I love the smell of gasoline. If I had a woman who smelled like gas, woo!
Boy.
Finally,
I could achieve an erection. If I could feel like I was having sex with a truck.
Woo! That's why I like New Jersey, because they pump the gas for you, so you can just jerk off while they're pumping.
I hate that.
Oh. No, I actually don't like that either. When I was driving up here from Philly, when I was like moving here, I pulled over in Jersey just because I was out of gas. And then a guy starts walking up behind my car like quickly. And I was like, what is this dude doing? And then I realized that they are professional gas pumpers over there. And I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, dude.
It's very uncomfortable.
The gas pumping union is strong out there. It just is. It's like, I don't like anything that makes me feel mastery. Like, it makes me feel...
Well, thank goodness for... a lot of levels of
the Emancipation Proclamation.
But just a lot of levels of separation, because there's a lot of things that we do that would make us feel mastery.
Doesn't it make you uncomfortable though when like people are like serving you or doing something for you unnecessarily that like you totally could and should be able to do for yourself?
Yeah, I guess I just don't think that happens all the time. I'm not in that position a lot.
Have you ever been to like a really fancy hotel?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, I did this. Okay. I walked into Ralph Lauren on the Upper East Side like almost a year ago now, but I walked in and I was leaning in to open the door. The door just opened for me automatic. It's not an automatic door.
Yeah.
There's just a dude standing there open the door for me.
Yeah, and didn't you kind of feel like, oh,
I kind of was like, what are you doing? Like
I can open this and this should not be a job.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's
like
how
you're
I feel.
getting paid $17 an hour to open a door.
And also it's another place I'm supposed to tip, like for the gas pumping, not the door opening, but the gas pumping.
Some people do tip that. Do I hear rich people talk about how much they tip, or like really successful comics? Like, oh yeah, I tip this person, I tip that person. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm not tipping that. What?
Oh yeah, like I know some pretty rich people, and like the bonuses they give their doormen at the end of the year, like their Christmas bonuses, are like make these guys' year. Not like financially make their year, but like they hold out for all this money,
like thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's nuts. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I mean, if I had the money, I guess I would.
Yeah, I guess $1,000 is $20 to you.
That is a good point. I mean,
it is relative, but it's just the thing is it's not relative to the rest of the world.
Yeah, and you know that Gary Goldman bit, right? About finding $20 in his pocket.
Yeah,
how it like changed his plans, and then he said, he does the math of what Bill Gates would have to find in his pocket.
Yeah,
it's like
$1 million.
$12 million.
Yeah.
It's just $20. It's so
the
fun.
G-Man,
and that was back when Bill Gates was worth $40 billion.
Yeah,
I think, and now like
he's
Musk
in
is worth 300 billion or something like that.
Yeah, it does seem like it's not just inflation, but of like how much richer even the richest people have gotten.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing
it.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing it. I'm like, that's just a made up number. Like, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's like it's their net worth, right? So it's like all of their assets.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Ew, a wet one. A wet one up top.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, anyway, well, we'll start now. Welcome to another episode of
Call Him Father.
This is Josh.
That's me, and this is Grant.
Hello.
Glad to be here.
Okay. And it's already looking like a hot one.
Woo! Starting off
strong.
Full of confidence.
Okay. It's a beautiful Sunday.
It is a beautiful Sunday.
Did a little church.
Day of the Lord.
Day of the Lord. How are you feeling, Joshua? Give us a rating.
It is March 2nd.
Show those socks
2024. Cut that. Whoever's editing this, you don't need to cut that, but come on. I'm feeling fine, but it was so warm yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing vibes. The Friday night, I was walking in the Lower East Side, smoking Jarum, which the smoking cloves is the only thing I smoke, and it threw me back to like 2023. It was just only 2 years ago, but it just felt like I had just gotten here to the city again. It was so fun.
Yeah, that's the thing that's cool about New York is every time the weather changes, it feels you forgot the last time.
Yeah, dude.
And so it feels like a new place again.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so exciting. It was fun. Religious 8. Like spiritual, probably 6, 7. I'm really trying to. Things are going like I'm feeling better these days recently, and I'm really trying
not
to
to.
still, yeah. Well, I'm still trying to lean into God in the feeling goodness of it all, being thankful and filled with gratitude in that, rather than being like, actually, I'm good. I don't really need that, because it's like the down, like I've said this 1,000 times, I guess, but like the down's very easy to hold on to God. The up's very difficult. So now I'm on an up and I'm trying to cling just as hard or harder because it's out of gratitude and thankfulness and not think, because I think that's why the down comes, is because then you let go. And then you're like, oh, and then you go down again. And it's like, yeah, maybe because you let go. Maybe that's why you went back down. And so I'm really trying to not do that. I'm trying to hold fast to, I think, the reason why things are going better, which is, blessings of God and how things are going right now. So, yeah, just trying to hold that. So spiritual, maybe like 7.
Oh, okay,
6,
good.
7. High spiritual these days. It's been a lot of fun. I just feel like the Lord's working in a lot of exciting ways. So, yeah.
Cool.
What about you?
Pretty low in both categories. Probably a 3-3.
3-3.
3-3.
I think that's on the lower side of spiritual for you in a while.
Yeah,
Religion,
I'm just
that's
not
kind of par for
really
the course, but
not really engaging with. I'm not really doing as much prayer. I'm not really feeling like the connection to like the world in general is the result of some higher thing, versus just like it could just be like this nice but very socialized result of being a social creature.
Wait, sorry, clarify that. What is
so nice? Like I'm just not very sure that like my sense of feeling connected to people in the world is some like divine thing versus just the result of we're social creatures, and so feeling a connection to anything kind of is why we've been successful and how we get to keep going on is by connecting with others, and they help you fight things off, and then you fuck them.
Yeah. I guess I still get lost in the sauce of that. I guess you're saying before the feeling of spirituality might not be because of a divine presence, but because connecting with people is what that is.
Because connecting with people is like a natural evolutionary thing.
Sure. So are you saying? So you're saying connecting with people feels the same as connecting with the divinity to you?
I'm just not really. It doesn't feel lately like, or I'm not thinking about it lately as this like divine thing. It just seems like a natural, totally could be explained by the way that we've evolved type thing. Like it could totally be like me thinking like a kid is cute on the subway and making me smile doesn't necessarily feel like God versus just like, well, we need to protect kids because they're small and weak, and that's just how we've evolved to do them, which I don't think is necessarily bad. It's just not like I just haven't been thinking of like, oh, there's a God there versus just some evolutionary process.
Yeah, and I think it can be an evolutionary process, but that doesn't necessarily negate the fact that God chose to use that to reveal himself. It's not mutually exclusive.
They're not mutually exclusive, but the connection to the other one is not happening very automatically.
Sure. Yeah. Well, look at that. I mean, look at it the bright side. Even forget like the connection to spirituality, right? You still get like the benefit of that. That thing, which is awesome. Like God, I mean, it's not like you need to be like, oh, that's God. If I don't thank God, I'm not going to get this positive, like this degree of grace where even if you don't see it as God, God is still blessing you with this benefit of feeling this connection. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like even when you don't give him his flowers, which I think he's due, he still is like, yeah, but you get to feel this joy and connection to people and society and things of that nature.
Sure. I guess I just don't see the, for me, it's like those things, my level of spiritual activity, like intention activity, like I'm praying, I'm thinking about this stuff a lot. With or without that, these things go on. So it's easy for me to To be like, well, this is just this is very easy to say. This is just a change in awareness or an introduction of a new way of looking at things instead of some higher power.
Right, but the new way of thinking about things is thinking about things as coming out of a divine power. It's not, you're not just saying, oh, it's just my brain. Like, you are thinking of something as coming from an outside source, outside of yourself.
But the outside of myself is just what's, like, I wouldn't, it's just what's going on. Like, it's just, there's people, there's things going on. I'm part of it, watching it. It doesn't really, the idea that there is like some overarching plan or structure that cares about it doesn't really like, it would make sense without that. It would make sense that the things that I can appreciate when I look at them are there for reasons outside or of like a big divine reason. Like they could, I just don't feel like there's this necessity to connect them to like what people are talking about in church.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big assumption, but yeah, I get that.
I mean, I think this whole thing is a pretty big assumption too.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're looking at it.
Right.
But yeah, I think it is an assumption if you're assuming all of it, but I think you're diving in and we're looking at it and we're seeing what arguments. I mean, I guess we're not really talking apologetics so much because we're just sticking with scripture. But like, I think saying things could be explained for reasons. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's reasons, alternate explanations for.
There's not an emotional pull towards one side or the other. That's maybe the shorthand of what I'm saying. There's not an emotional or feeling pull of like, this is this Christian God versus this is something that is explained by chance and randomness, right? Or like how things are results of millions of years of people being the way they are and evolving versus like there is some grand plan and puppeteer that provides meaning to all these things.
You're saying there's no emotional pull to one or the other.
No, I'm not seeing it one way or the other.
It sounds like life's going pretty good.
It's fine. It's yeah. It's fine.
Right. Which is, I think, like that, and that's kind of what I've said. That's kind of like where I've been, like what we've said in the past is like when things are going bad. Well, wait, no, you work the inverse as me. When things are going bad, you're like, God's not real. But when things are going good, you're like, God's.
I guess maybe that's what I'm saying is that is happening on both sides now. Of like, the things are going well, and it's just like, I guess I'm not. When they go bad, I can think about them sometimes. When they go good, I can think about it sometimes in the
like
with the glasses of religion on, and I don't have those glasses on right now.
Yeah.
So I can see it either way. There's a really mixed up way of trying to say that. But
when did that? If you're at this place now, is there like a point, like in the last couple of weeks since recording last, that like there's a moment of that, or that's just kind of like been a?
It's just what I've noticed because I've been less. I've just been thinking about other things.
Sure.
So like, I think that's where this stuff as a practice and a discipline, when it's not in you, when it's not a part of your operating.
Yeah. Your everyday or whatever
procedure.
Sure.
The ebb and flow in and out of it is like a natural thing, but it's also can be a discouraging thing towards committing to the religion itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. It's like, I mean, I get what you're saying. The ebb and flow makes a lot of sense, and it's hard to feel like, well, if there's ebb and flow, then how can I say that it's real? You know, like if it was real, then why would I ever ebb and flow away from this thing? You know?
Yeah,
and it's like. Yeah, I guess I get the perspective on that. The question is God ebbing and flowing in his reality, or are we ebbing and flowing in our reality? And it's like, obviously as a Christian, I would say we ebb and flow in our reality. I think God's always there. It's just, are we engaging with him? So I think there's a big difference, because it's like, if I stop talking to you I mean, this happens in comedy all the time, right? Like you don't see someone for months and you're like, did you quit? And they're like, nope, just going someplace. Because it's like, you just didn't see them or whatever. So you're like, that person doesn't exist to me.
Sure.
Like they quit comedy and they're like, nope, didn't quit. You just didn't see me. So it's like, I think it's something more akin to that, where it's like, their reality seems to change based on my perception of it. And I think that's because of our own engagement. That's not to say anything about the Lord's objective or not existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess it's
But you're not feeling an emotional.
it's like that's the scale, right? It's like a personal scale, and that's how it feels.
Right.
That's why it's a 3. Is because it's just like I'm really not thinking about it, and so it's not a lens that colors any part of my experience
right
now. And I guess the religious lower part is like, I mean, it's usually at a 3 or 4.
Yeah,
but
it's around there.
I think those two things in tandem of like the spiritual and the religious parts being low is like, it's hard for me to say that. It's hard for me to, like, if I'm looking at them like lenses, that means you can just go to a different lens. Like you can just put on a Buddhist lens and be like, oh, okay,
right,
this makes sense here.
Yeah.
And so that makes, and if it's just this perspective change and way of looking at things versus like this actual truth, then the religious side goes down and the spiritual side goes down because you feel like it's really just a matter of what you.
It's just a tool.
Yeah.
That you're choosing to use.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
And I don't feel bad. Like I feel pretty good. I mean, I've had some bad moments, but like overall, it's been a good week. So it's not like some monumental up or down that has led to this.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think that looking at the lens that I look through, which is Christianity, I mean, that makes sense to me, right? I think a lot of people are like, yeah, everything's fine. And so they don't feel a need for a greater sense of salvation because everything's pretty chill, you know? And it's like, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. I mean, I think that there is a deeper sense of need in salvation, but like, are we engaging with that all the time? That's where I generally push back against things. But also, yeah, engagement, if it's not, it makes sense that it wouldn't be as present in your mind or in your experience if it's just not something that, if it's not a lens that you're looking through to begin with.
Sure. Too. Another thing is I didn't go to church last weekend. So there's like an aspect of keeping it in the front of your mind by that weekly thing.
Yeah.
And so then you can look at that and you can say, okay, that's just programming. You know, that's just like, that's part of why you have to go every week, is so that you keep this in your mind. And that can be a function of trying to help you out, but it could be a function of trying to keep you in the thing for the sole purpose of keeping the thing alive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think the thing that keeps people going is because it's encouraging, right? Because this thing gives hope and salvation, right? I mean, that's why I go. I don't go because if I don't have it, then I'll forget that it's real and my life will still be fine. I don't think about it. I'm not like, oh, I don't need this. I just choose to do that. It's like, no, I do need this for me, you know, but also my relationship with it is very different than yours because you are kind of investigating it. It sounds the way you're describing it now. So I'll just say for this week, because it wasn't always, you didn't always speak about it this way, but like the way it sounds like now is you're investigating it as a tool for a functional life, not necessarily as a deeper objective truth, regardless of its functionality. Because you're just like, well, is this the right tool to use right now? And you're like, well, this is a tool that you're saying people will go to church to keep it in the front of their mind so that it doesn't die. It's like, well, if it's not a useful tool, then it can die. You know, it's like if it didn't function well, then no one would want to use it. So as a tool, I think it is functional, but also like, regardless of that, you see the people, like the first people who adopted Christianity were slaves and women back in ancient times. I don't think it was super functional for them in like a materialistic sense, you know, but I think in terms of giving them hope for salvation, it was massive, right? So it is just like a changed worldview where you go to church because you do want that fellowship, you do want that reminder and that recentering. Because when you leave it, maybe not immediately, but like, you know, for a year of my life, somewhat recently, I didn't leave it completely, but I left it a bit, and I noticed at the end. I noticed big time. And in the past, time when I've put it at number one again, I've noticed, and it's been great.
Yeah. And I don't think I know what I want to say fully, so we should move on to the book. But it is interesting to think about like how this how religion works just as a system of reinforcement, right or not, but like thinking of going to church on a weekly basis being an important thing because it keeps you in the system and thinking about it,
sure,
and contributing to it in a good way. And like I think the fellowship of these things are good,
right?
But I think that's another thing is when you start looking at it in these like technical ways, it can demystify it and despiritualize it,
sure,
instead of just kind of letting the spirit or whatever lead of like going to church and feeling it and not trying to think about it too much, but just ingest and be led or whatever.
Experience it, yeah.
Yeah, that is, it's a balance, right? And it's a balance that actual like Christians do of like apologetics versus experiential. It's the thing that you've talked about before. So it's like where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think, I think that the way you're talking about religion too, I think is the way a lot of people view Christian and non-Christian view religion, as like a system of like keeping people, encouraging this, like trying to keep people from leaving, like money, power, all of this stuff.
Not even that, but just if you think it's a good thing, keeping people in a good system is not like, I'm not saying it's just about money.
Sure,
like,
but I referring to it as a system is, I think, correct, because religion is kind of a system, but also like, I don't know, this is gonna be super gay, but like I think this, people say this all the time. It's like Christianity isn't a religion; it's a relationship. It's like it's a personal relationship with Jesus, which I said it in a weird voice, but I do believe that. I do think that. So,
right.
So it is like I think church encourages the relationship, but the relationship is priority, and church is a part of that relationship, encouraging you in it. It's not like, oh, it's a religion, like stay in the, it's not about that. But I could see, because of the dominance of church and evangelicalism and Catholicism in modern day society, people do miss the relationship with Jesus and the personal aspect because of the church aspect. So I see what I see what you're saying for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to like.
You're trying to trash it, okay?
I'm trying to trash it
on camera in front of all of our friends.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think our friends are watching, but
that's what I'm. Anyone who watches this is our friend.
Okay. Well, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Hey,
keep coming back every week and keep us in the forefront of your mind.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Slowly,
we are your church.
Slowly start giving us money, so that you keep feeling this connection and
Great
this
job.
relationship.
Thank you. Plant it.
But I think I've also looked at other organizations, if we don't like sister organizations,
sure,
maybe, where I think they are good organizations, and a big part of it is fostering a relationship with other people and yourself, and there are similarities in how they work.
Yeah, sure.
And a lot of them are built off of like Christianity, or like, I mean, just how churches work in general.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's once you see it, it's like you can see it in a lot of other organizations.
Dude, yeah, 100%.
And also I talked to someone about a cult that they were in, and because this was so obviously a cult, it was very easy to talk about it as like, oh, they did this because of that.
Yeah.
They would make it so that if you went against the head guy at all, you got kicked out and no one could talk to you.
Shunning's huge.
That's a very, very, very big, that's a technical, that's a tactic.
That is a cult.
Yeah. And so that's also kind of where my mind was at,
What the hell, man? You didn't come to church last week. I still talk to you.
And I appreciate that.
I didn't cut you off. What the hell?
No. I'm not saying they're the same, but I'm
sure.
saying,
No, there are tactics like that, but I do think like, it's weird because, and they talked about this in church today, right? At the very end of Ecclesiastes is talking about like, we are made, what our purpose is to follow God's law. Like, it's who we are. That's our identity. So this idea of like, if that's true, then a lot of the things that come out of Christianity go along really, really well with how humans work, just so, like socially, biologically, all of these things.
Sure.
Because God made us, and the Bible is a manual to how we should live our lives. So the reason why it works so well is because it goes along with how we were created, right? Obviously, to get to where I'm saying, you need to buy a lot of other things. But but you're saying like a lot of other systems use what the church uses, because it's like, well, yeah, that's because that's how we work. Like, we're social creatures, we need community, and it's like, if you see someone who's not socialized or not, doesn't have connections with people, like generally, it's a really like solitary confinement. People describe as like cruel and unusual punishment, because we are social creatures,
right?
And church is a part of that. You know what I mean? So it is like, it does meet some of our core needs. Biologically, the question is like, well, how do we know that? I think, that's what the big debate is, right? Is that how we evolved, or is that how we were created?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a long one, but now we can get into a good chapter, I think. Chapter 41 of Genesis. Joseph, 41. Baby. I'm so sorry. I'm gassy.
Yeah, we're drinking carbonated water, and we're like, why are we burping? This is crazy.
It maybe is like the worst drink we could drink.
Air.
Yeah. Okay, you want to break this one down? Or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I'll do a little bit of. It's funny because it's been a while since we recorded. Mm-hmm. We're like, they haven't listened to us in 2 weeks. But I forget it's weekly. But
they haven't listened to us.
I haven't listened to us at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so God created the earth. I should start at the beginning. Stop. God. Hey.
What?
Hey. So I think. Where do we leave off? Okay, so Joseph in Egypt got thrown in prison because Potiphar's wife accused him of trying to sleep with her, which he didn't do. Then he interprets two prisoners' dreams, was right on both of them. One of them got reinstated to work with Pharaoh. The other one got hung. Now, and he was like, hey, remember me when you get reinstated so that you could let me get the hell out of here. And the guy just completely forgot about him for 2 years.
Yep.
Then what happens is, Pharaoh has an unsettling dream, has two unsettling dreams back to back. It kind of implies in the same night.
Yeah. Dreams are always coming in twos.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. So 2 dreams, one night. The first dream is there's 7 fat cows come out of the Nile, right?
Yeah.
They're in Egypt. Mm-hmm. So 7 fat cows come out of the Nile. They're eating, they're having fun. 7 other cows come out, and they're like sickly, frail, disgusting
hot cows,
anorexic cows.
Yeah,
some people find that they'd be models if they were if they were humans, they'd be models. And they eat up the fat cows, and they're just as skinny as they were. They don't gain any weight. They're just as skinny. They just consume the fat cows, and nothing about them changes. Also bulimic cows, they threw them back up, but they didn't. He didn't talk about that in the dream. And then wakes up, freaks out. Next dream, this is hard for me to explain, but like 7 ears of grain. Yeah. 7 ears of grain look great.
Corn.
Corn?
Yeah.
Maize?
Yeah, corn.
Corn? All right, let's just say corn.
Ears of corn.
Ears of corn.
That's why you said ears. I don't think you have ears of maize.
Maize is corn, you weirdo.
Or you said ears of wheat.
God, we're so not agrarian people.
We are so not.
We are not agrarian.
Many things.
Sorry to all of our farmer fans. Who listen to us. Wait, hold on.
Hey, congrats on the electricity.
Yeah, good job. I also saw in my dream 7 ears growing in one stalk. It just says ears.
Oh, okay.
All right. Ears of whatever suit, floats your boat. Mm-hmm. Growing on one stalk, full, great. And then withered ones come up kind of beneath them and make them go away. And now it just looks terrible. 7 and 7 in each case, 7 cows, 7 ears. He wakes up, he's terrified. He's like, interpret my dream. He gathers all the wise people, all the magicians, all of this stuff. No one can interpret it. They don't know what it means. And then the cupbearer, who was reinstated to Pharaoh, says, oh, I know this guy, this one Hebrew guy.
I remember this Jew.
From 2 years ago, they did a good job that interpreted that. And then he brings that to Pharaoh. Pharaoh brings Joseph up out of the prison. And then Joseph gives his shot at the dream. Do you want to explain that part?
Yeah, so Joseph, basically the Pharaoh retells him the dreams in completeness. So you have to reread the entire dream again.
I just read it a paragraph ago. Now I have to read. Very
unnecessary, author.
I know, editor.
And then Joseph goes, okay, the reason that you're your dreams are both basically the same meaning. There's going to be 7 great years, plentiful years, and that's the fat cows or the fat ears. And then there's going to be 7 years of what's it called?
Famine.
Keep saying it.
Famine.
Sorry, I thought I was going to burp again. There's going to be 7 years of famine.
I was like, I nailed it.
7 years of yeah. Again.
Yeah, I'm like,
not my tempo.
It's not a different word. Again.
7 years of famine. That's going to be so bad you're not even going to be able to remember the 7 years of abundance because of how bad it is. So here's what you got to do. You got to hire someone you trust. Hint, hint. Kind of dropping his resume into the thing.
A little bit. Yeah, I guess.
Hire someone you trust, and then they're going to help coordinate over the next 7 years, taking 20% of all the grain produced and storing it for the 20 years or for the 7 years of famine afterwards. And the Pharaoh's like, shit, that's an awesome interpretation. You did so good.
He loves the interpretation.
Also, cows are important because cows signify the goddess of fertility, Isis, back then in Egyptian times.
Isis. The goddess of fertility.
The goddess of fertility, not the...
militant group.
Yes, not the evil pickup truck drivers of... where are they at?
Man, can you imagine a terrorist the first time they saw a pickup truck? They were probably like,
oh
this
my God.
is perfect. This is unbelievable.
Guns in the back, homies up front.
I can stand in the back with a gun.
Yeah, it's really, they are good.
Man.
What would ISIS be without the Toyota Hilux?
I know. Seriously. Also, imagine the sales guy that was like, terrorists could totally use these.
Yeah,
the first person who's like, we got to send these to the Middle East.
You could put a 50 on one of these.
It's an off-roader.
It's really great.
When you put it in park, it's really not budging. It's good. It's got a good e-brake.
Have you seen the video of the car bomb that hits an IED, and so it gets shot like 100 feet in the air, and then the car bomb goes off? So good. For the viewers, please Google that. It's really a fun one.
Dude, I wanted to make a commercial for a car that was like so secure, like a Volvo or something like that. And the commercial was terrorists trying to suicide bomb it into a place.
Sure.
And they drive in, they're like, ah, and they yell, and then the bomb explodes and it just stays contained in the car.
Oh, that's
because that's how strong the car was built.
That's a good one.
I think, yeah, and then it just goes Volvo or something like that.
What about this? They get in the car and they're like, okay, we're going to drive this into a building.
Yeah.
But the car's got such a comfortable drive. They're like...
Let's go around into the block.
We can take it around the block.
Let's keep going. Come on.
The World Trade Center is open for a while.
Whoa, yeah, exactly. Is this seat cooling?
Yeah.
Not just eating, cooling. Whoa, that's crazy.
This is nice.
Wait, hook up your phone.
Yeah.
To the thing.
Party rocking in the house tonight. And then they just end up going to Coney Island and not blowing anything up. I like it when a product's so good it stops global terrorism.
Yeah, I know. They're like, man, so good, you won't want to kill yourself.
So good. You only not even worth 72 virgins.
Exactly. You'd give up 72 virgins for this car.
Just for a ride in this Toyota Prius. Damn. All right, so that's fun. Okay, so
one of those got to turn to a bit.
One of them's got
to turn to a bit. Anyways.
So yeah, and so he's like, you should hire someone who's gonna help you out, get the grain, prepare yourself, and prepare your people. And the Pharaoh's like, I like it. You're the man for the job. Let's do it. And then he does it. They have 7 great years. They take their 20% or their 1/5, and they do so well that they can basically start selling grain to the rest of the world because they're the ones who were prepared, and the rest of the world is in a famine. So basically, walk-off home run from Joseph.
Crushes it.
But
also, I mean, he's like, all right, Joseph, you're the man for the job. It's not like, okay, you do this little part that he was like, you're second in the kingdom to me.
Oh yeah, he basically says like, you're the guy. The only buddy above you is me, and that's. Yeah. Take my robes, take my signet ring, take a
signet ring. That's basically saying me. Take my voice.
Yeah. And
you know?
Yeah. So big, it's huge. And that gets him integrated and fully trusted by the Egyptian people. Another interesting thing is like, so you have the god of fertility, which is the cows. And then you also have the ears of whatever. Egypt is like the breadbasket of the world at this point. Like, they produce a lot of stuff. And so to have these two things in the dreams, they're big signifiers for the Pharaoh's power and his ability to maintain power. And that's why he's so scared when he sees this dream. And that's why he goes to these other people.
Well, also, but okay, so what's interesting to me is just diving into a little bit more. Why weren't his wise men and magicians able to figure this out? Like, what are they like? What are they scared? Are they scared of telling Pharaoh that maybe there's going to be famine because he's going to be like, I'm going to kill you or whatever?
It's just funny to think of they're magicians.
Yeah, like it's not really our thing.
No, but I'm saying they're like modern day like card trick magicians. Yeah. He's like, you guys, I'm really scared. Yeah, they pull out oh well, that is a scary dream. You know what would make you feel better? A penny. Oh, a quarter, maybe not a penny. And he's still not having it.
He's like,
guys,
no,
this is serious.
Guys, this is a dream.
Yeah. This is serious. It's a dream.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm very curious as to why they couldn't solve it. Yeah. And then also Joseph says a thing and he's like, yep, that's it. That's the right thing.
That's the one.
How does he know? Like, it's not like they weren't guessing or whatever. I guess he just didn't settle with his
Joseph's a real confidence man.
That's true.
A man of confidence.
He did say, it's not me, but God will give you the answer to this.
Yeah.
You know? And also we were doing it, I think we were reading it on opposite sides because you were saying Joseph is like, pick somebody, hint, hint. I feel like Joseph was literally like, pick somebody who's good at this. I just want to get out of here. That's kind of how I was reading it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing about like the way that it's written is you kind of, there's no clues either way. I feel like
there probably is if we knew Hebrew.
That's what I'm saying. But in English, like you can't tell from this whether or not he's going one way or another. There's no emotional description of like how he's delivering.
There's no
it.
Parenthetical that's like he said sneakily.
Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Coyly.
Pick somebody.
That's not how I read it.
He smiled.
I just thought that was like a funny interpretation of it, of him being like,
sure.
Hey, you really should get someone else to do this.
Yeah.
Give them a lot of power. But
someone who's used to organizing things and taking care of. I've done this in 2 different locations.
Yeah, exactly.
I did this at Potiphar. I did this in the jail.
Yeah.
I did practice, you know?
That's not how I read it, but that is, maybe that's what he was doing. Who knows? He's a smart guy, basically.
Oh yeah, he's a smart guy.
So yeah, and
but also think of like almost everything he's done, almost everything he said has been a dream that the Lord gave him.
Yeah.
Or an interpretation of a dream that the Lord gave him. Almost half of what Joseph says in all of this thus far is from God. It's not even Joseph so much being like, I think this. He's like, no, God told me this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, I was watching this breakdown thing and it was talking about how like it also shows that he's changed because when he was first taking his dreams to his brothers, he was kind of a dick about it.
Oh, big
He's
dick.
like, you guys are going to bow to me. And then in this one, he's like, hey, this is God doing this.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell you what he's going to tell you, like what he told the bread bakers.
Yeah.
And
sorry, buddy.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And the same thing here is like, this is not me saying this, it's God interpreting this.
Right.
I am not some special thing. I'm just a conduit of God.
Right.
And so then the kind of moral from that is like, you know, be humble, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Be humble, blah, blah. And then get back into it.
Yeah. I mean, that's just when I've run out of words, but I think there's more to say.
I think you nailed it.
Thanks.
I think like sometimes you do that when like, not you specifically, just people do that where they've reached the end of their sentence, but the inflection implies that there's more.
Yeah.
So then they have to finish it off with nothing words. Like blah, blah, blah.
We're getting a divorce.
Blah, blah, blah.
But, yeah.
We're getting a divorce. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, yada, yada.
But this kind of leads to the next chapter, interestingly, because like we said, there's a famine for the whole world.
Yeah, it's not just local to Egypt.
Even back in Israel, which...
It's not Israel yet, but
what will someday be...
Israel, maybe.
Argued as Israel.
Well, some way to be heavily contended
The
land.
Near East. Yeah. The Near East, back in the Near East.
I call it Pakistan just to play it safe.
Hey, I don't even know if that's playing it safe.
Yeah, India is probably not happy about that. I call it India just to play it safe.
But yeah, so his family who abandoned him, or well, didn't abandon him, sold him into slavery.
Sure.
They're hurting too. And that leads us to 42.
42, which is, well, Joseph gets married. He has kids, you know, whatever, with these Egyptian people. With the son of or daughter of the priest, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, they understand he's got some spiritual leverage here, Joseph. So they're like, let's put you up with some of the priests,
Oh,
kids.
interesting.
It's kind of an interesting idea. Like, I feel like you'd fit in with that crew.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of fun. And then eventually famine hits. Everyone knows that Egypt is the place to go to get your land, to get your food and whatnot. And so then that means Jacob's, that means Joseph's old family. They need food. So then they go down to Egypt to get some food. All of the brothers go down except Benjamin,
Which is Jacob's full brother.
That is Jacob's full brother. It's Joseph's full brother.
Joseph's full brother.
Joseph and Benjamin are children of Rachel, which is Jacob's favorite wife, the one he loved, Laban's second daughter.
The hotter one.
The hotter one, the strong one, the shepherdess. And so that's why... sorry, I got distracted. That's why... sorry.
We both looked out the window like dogs.
Nothing even's happening out back there. And so that's why Benjamin, because he thinks Joseph's dead. Jacob thinks Joseph's dead. So Benjamin is his only surviving child of Rachel's favorite wife. So he's like, I can't let this kid out of my sight. Mm-hmm. So then he keeps him there.
Yeah.
Also, it's been years, right? It's been at least 7 years, right? It's been at least 9 years.
No. It's been like, he's 30 now.
Oh yeah, he's 30.
Yeah,
so it's
been like 15
years. Yeah. So Benjamin, not even really a kid at this point. He's like a dude. He's like a full-grown fella. Uh-huh. And Jacob is like, I'm not letting him out of my sight. He can't go. So everyone goes down and shows up to buy grain except for Benjamin, which is important. So then they ask for the grain, and Joseph really kind of.
But they don't recognize Joseph.
No, they don't recognize Joseph.
They come in, they bow down, they call him my lord or whatever.
My lord.
And milady.
Lord.
Yeah, they milady him.
Yeah.
And they're all wearing fedoras.
My lady. I would like some grain.
Yeah, I would. Please like some grain for the famine.
I fancy the grain to survive this famine.
So they don't recognize their brother because it's been so long.
Yeah,
he's all
he lost
decked
the fedora.
out in Egyptian shit. He doesn't have his fedora
He's
on
actually
anymore.
cool now. He's got the eyeliner on, like he's Eddie Izzard or something.
Yeah. He's painting his nails.
Yeah.
But so he recognizes them and he wants to fuck with them a little bit because they screwed him over.
Yeah, so he's goofing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he basically is like, you guys are spies. You've come here to survey the nakedness of the land.
Make fun of us.
Which is, and say how tiny the land's dick is. But really the nakedness of the land is, he's accusing them of seeing that they, looking for like a lack of fortification around so that they can storm Egypt or attack Egypt and find they're looking for its weak points basically.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we just want grain. It's cool, my lord, my lady. And he's like, okay, well, I don't believe that you guys are from this family back in Canaan. Okay, back in Canaan. So the only way you can prove it to me is if I'm going to keep one of your brothers, you go back and give me your youngest brother who you left there, which I got to say, who you said exists. I don't see how that would prove that they're not spies, because couldn't they just go and get a guy and be spies?
That's a good question. I don't know how.
I mean, it doesn't really do much for the story because obviously his objective is just to get his brother, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, hey, I proved that you're a spy. I wonder what that would mean in terms of, I don't know. Yeah, what would that mean in terms of trying to prove that they're not spies? Go get your youngest brother. Prove to me that he's not. It's weird. It's not like the profile is so specific that you couldn't possibly find another person to fake being him.
Yeah, unless they're all quadruplets.
Right, but I think a big part of it would be leaving behind one of the other ones.
Sure, you must come back.
Yeah.
But just with a different guy.
Right, bring him back, prove to me that this is the case, whatever. And so then they're like, okay, fine. And they do it. They leave. And then also, when they're on the way back, they see their sacks super full, like not just regular full, but super full.
They filled them with the grain, but then he put the money back in their thing.
Right, so they basically got it for free.
And that worries them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why does this worry them? And I guess it's because, one, if they're like caught by other Egyptian people, they're going to think that they stole the grain.
Yeah.
And two, when they get back to their father, he'll potentially think that they sold the brother who is not with them anymore for the grain.
Which they've done. He doesn't know that, but they've done that before.
So it's kind of like going back on this betrayal.
Also, think about this. Going back to the defiling of Dinah from a couple episodes ago, Jacob is worried about his kids just making havoc.
Right.
Like, they just killed a whole city because of that. So he's like, you came back with grain and money? What did you do? Like, you're putting a target on our backs. Stop being ridiculous.
I didn't think about that.
So it's like, his kids are a nightmare.
They're monsters.
Yeah, they're terrible. And so he's like, okay, so I came back one kid short. Yeah. Not super. And then they're like, okay, well, when we go back, we need to bring Benjamin. It's like, you already lost a kid.
Exactly.
You lost a kid.
Why would I trust you?
Why the hell would I
one?
give you the best kid here? Which also to them is like, okay, he's not the best kid.
We gave up the best kid.
Yeah, we gave up
He's ruling Egypt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't know that
They don't know that yet.
But so then also they go back. Eventually they go back, but also they were probably gone for like, it's a big trek. They didn't like get enough for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? They were probably gone for like a year.
They were gone for a while, and they don't go back until the dad gets hungry again.
Yeah.
So they basically they eat the food for however long that the food lasts, and then because they cannot convince their father to let them take Benjamin back to Egypt to get their other brother. Who is the other brother that Simeon? Okay, whatever.
I think it's Reuben, but you keep talking.
So sorry.
I'll look.
So they have to wait for their dad to get basically hangry again. He's like, all right, fine. Now that I've got a little bit of a stomach grumble, you can take my child. That's when I think that's when Reuben makes the commitment that if anything happens to Benjamin, I take full responsibility.
Yes.
And that is also a way of showing how much he's changed, that he's willing to put himself on the line to go get his other brother. When he was one of the guys who was pretty instrumental in giving up Joseph. So parts of this are about like people growing a little bit. And despite them all being still, terrible or whatever, or not confessing to these awful things they've done, they are getting better. So Joseph is becoming more humble and Reuben is becoming a little bit more selfless.
And Reuben was also the guy who was like, hey, let's not kill him.
Oh, right.
Let's not kill the guy.
Let's just sell him.
Let's just sell it. Well, not even let's just sell him.
Or let's just throw him in the pit. He was
planning it. Let's throw him in the pit. He's going to come back and get him back. And then they sold him when Reuben was gone. So Reuben has been the upstanding fella of all of them so
Maybe
far.
it's confusing.
But he still is like, he's the oldest. He's also the one who slept with his dad's.
Right.
His dad's concubine. So I think it was Bilhah. Anyways. Was it Bilhah? Anyways. So it's like, yeah, like he's got a lot to make up for from his dad's perspective.
Sure.
He's goofed up in a lot of ways. So he's saying, okay, kill my kids if this doesn't work. Finally, Jacob relents, lets Benjamin go down there.
No, that's a different one.
They're going to die.
It's a different one that says, kill my son if this doesn't work. Yeah.
It's right here.
No. Because what's his name? Jacob's like, why would I trust you if you're willing up to give your own son?
Then Reuben said to his father, kill my 2 sons if I do not bring him back.
So that's 42. But then in 43, when they actually do go back, it's a different one.
Is it? Man, all these sons offering to kill their kids. All their kids are like,
he doesn't offer to kill his kid. He just offers like his word. Mm-hmm. Which feels like less of a commitment than the kid, but what do I know? I'm not a father.
Is it really not?
Yeah.
I thought it was Reuben. We should clap and then clap again so we know where to cut while we're looking. Golly. Because I think it's at the end of 42, and then eventually that's kind of what happens. But the point is, like, they also dragged it out, right? Like, they were... it's also said, like, we could have gone and come back 2 times since, like, if we weren't dragging our feet out of fear of Benjamin being gone. Oh, Judah. Judah is the one who slept with Tamar.
Judah's the one that slept with Tamar.
With Tamar, who is that's one of his son's wives who died.
Send the boy with me and we will arise and go, and that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I will be a pledge of his safety. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed, we would now have returned twice.
Yeah.
So he's kind of talking about what you were talking about a little bit before of like, hey, we could have done this by now.
Right.
But he is not pledging his son. He's just pledging that he will bear this in his soul for the rest of his life.
Right.
And Judah is this is what I was talking about. If Judah this is a big step for him. He's being selfless. He's putting himself on the line. Whereas he was one of the guys who was like, let's kill this fucking guy or get rid of him. I can't remember where he was involved in that process, but he was one of the guys.
Judah's like, let's kill this guy. And also he's a pretty selfish dude to begin with, because he also didn't give his youngest son to Tamar to have children with, because he was so scared of losing his youngest kid. He said 2 kids die with Tamar. Remember that?
No.
Tamar was the one who pretended to be a prostitute and slept with him.
And
then
slept with Jacob.
No, not Jacob. Judah. This is like a side character.
Oh God, man.
Anyways,
this stuff it just doesn't
reference
stick.
back to a couple episodes ago. Well, there's just so much.
Yeah, there's so much
stuff in here, which is why it's like, and it all does.
I feel like I need like a pegboard with strings.
There are those. There are like Genesis lineages, like big old maps and stuff that you could buy online. It's cool.
Okay, well maybe I'll Google that afterwards.
He's
but
not gonna Google it.
Another thing. So they're getting ready to go back to Egypt, and Jacob, or Israel, he gets called differently. He's like, okay, well, bring this guy that we need to trade with a lot of stuff. And one of the things he says is bring him gum. They had gum back then?
5 gum.
Yeah.
What it feels like to chew 5 gum.
Being in the desert for 14 straight days. Yeah. Yeah, I just envisioned like giving like someone like myrrh and trident layers.
They're like, well, this is way better than the myrrh. What the hell?
The myrrh.
And they're like, it doesn't last very long. It only lasts for like
but the initial flavor is really good.
Dude, yeah, imagine. They just didn't have access to sugar like that, I'd imagine, back then.
Well, they had honey.
I guess they had honey, yeah.
And honey.
But you can chew on it for like this so long. That'd be
That's
nice.
true. Yeah, and then I guess we're kind of bleeding into 43. Was there anything more about 42 that you wanted to talk about?
Not so much. I feel like it is just like the contention of, okay, they got the grain, they left our brother behind. They need to go back and get more food, but they can't do that without bringing Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
So,
kind of a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
And then the food pushes them back to Egypt, and they return to Egypt. And that's 43 is Joseph's brothers return to Egypt. They convince their father via Judah, and they head on down with Benjamin, and Joseph is really pumped to see Benjamin.
Yes, because that's his full brother, only full brother that he's got. And also, before they left, Jacob was like, yo, if Benjamin dies, I'm gonna
kill myself,
so
basically.
upset. He's incredibly upset. He's like, my gray hairs will go down to Sheol. Very dramatic.
Yeah.
Like we would say, I'm gonna kill myself, but he would be like, I will cry the rest of my days, and I will whatever.
I feel like in terms of actions, what we are saying is more dramatic. I will kill myself.
Yeah, but we just use that as like a stand-in.
Yeah,
you know what
sure.
I mean? He's like actually thinking about what he functionally will do
Sure.
and saying that. And we're, I'm not saying I'm going to cry while making my coffee every morning, which is like,
right.
what would happen.
Yeah.
But like,
anytime it's quiet, I will shake.
Anytime. I will shake.
Not speaking from experience.
I will shake whenever it's quiet. I'm going to cry into my couch every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
pillows are for screaming now.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, exactly. That's fine. You can't scream too much in a studio apartment.
Dude, it's tough.
Then you just think people...
Try it with a roommate.
Yeah, that is hard.
That's why you got to get memory foam. It keeps in all the memories.
It's my yelling corner of the, of the mattress. Yeah, dude. I think, anyway, well, we won't go into that. But I think we just move on past that.
We'll just leave that.
Anyways. He's going to be mad, really upset. So then they go down there, right? And then Joseph, pumped, like you said, pumped to see Benjamin, so stoked. He has to kind of like relieve himself. He has to like go away from seeing them a couple times because he cries. He goes to his bed and cries because he's so overwhelmed.
And they still don't know it's him.
No, they got no clue that it's him. And so he like prepares a meal for them. He like sets them in age order, and they're like, "That's freaking weird." How we're all in age order? Because at this point, they're probably ranging from like their 60s down to Benjamin.
Sure, okay.
So it's like there's a large age range, and it's pretty ambiguous in between like 35 and 50. Like how do you know who's in the age order? So then he sets them all in age order. What? Come on.
No,
the difference between 40.
I was going to make a comment I don't need to make. Let's please keep going.
It's just, you don't know. So they're like, "Whoa, you got us all in age order. This is crazy." He makes them. He takes care of them. They're having a good time. He lets the other brother go. They're stoked to see the other brother. Fills up their sacks with grain after the meal. Sends them on their way. They look back. Money's still in the bag. Also, a freaking cup that he uses for divination. Did you look that up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You want to dive into the divination thing?
Did I look it up?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't know why I said yes.
Yeah, you really said yes there too. You didn't say yes a little bit. You were like, yes.
You know what though? But you know what I'm proud of myself is that my lie was positive.
Do you do it on negative lies?
Yeah.
No. Nope, didn't look it up. I did look it up. No, what?
I don't know. I think it's better to be positive than negative, and I'm glad that
You're
that
building
was,
up, not tearing down?
Yeah.
All
I was
right.
trying to yes and you, and then I just completely.
In improv terms, great.
I mean,
Perfect.
here's the thing.
lie.
I looked up a good amount of stuff for this episode.
I could tell it was great.
I didn't look that up.
Really? That's okay. Because honestly, what you do look it up is commentators are like, yeah, who knows?
Oh,
That is
okay.
kind of what they say.
It doesn't.
Not really.
You can't really tell what.
No, they're just like, what does he mean by divination? And it's like, well, he is living in like the area of the priests, right? He did marry
Right.
the priest's daughter, so they probably got some practices for divination, talking to whatever. So there is some people, are skeptical of where Joseph's. It's like, who knows exactly what that means. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But the point is, he puts that into the sack, into Benjamin's sack, right? And then they're on their way back home, right? They're on their way back home, and then Joseph chases them down and goes, "Hey, you guys freaking stole from me!"
Well, he sends his side man.
So sends his henchman over and says, "Hey, someone stole from the king." And then they're like, or not from the king, from Joseph, and they were like, "No, nobody stole. If I really told this out of order, but it's like, if anyone stole from you, kill that brother." Basically, like, take him. He's yours.
That's what they say to show how innocent they are.
Yes.
They think they are.
Yes, 100%. And then they go through everyone's sack, and in Benjamin's sack, the important kid, they find the thing that was planted there by Joseph. Joseph planted it there. He didn't actually steal it. So Benjamin is innocent, but he sees the thing, and they're like, "Oh no." So they're like, we basically
This is the one guy we were supposed to protect.
Yeah, and we basically said, yeah, kill whoever has this, and he has it, and it was planted on him, so everyone's confused, and they're like, this is the worst. And then who steps up for him there? Is that Reuben, or is that
I think that
Judah?
is probably Judah again, because he's willing to. He's like, take me, essentially. Yeah. Then Judah went up to him and said, "Oh my Lord, please let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ears. And let not your anger burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself." Okay, so he's just kind of fluffing up the henchman, but he essentially says, "I'm the guy you got to kill, not the nice brother who."
Yeah, don't take Benjamin, because my dad's gonna get killed. Also, it is kind of humbling to be like, hey, if Benjamin dies, my dad's gonna kill himself. If I die, he'll be fine.
Sure. Yeah. Once again,
he can handle it.
Humble, baby.
This idea of favoritism is like so normal to them. They're not like, "Oh, he's his favorite." Like, no, yeah, it's his favorite. Of course, you have a favorite. I mean, you don't have a favorite. Everyone's got a favorite.
Yeah, and so
I feel like Jews still work that way, kind of.
Really,
In Jewish families that I've looked at, that I've been close with, there's
looked at with a
afar.
magnifying glass. Yeah,
exactly.
tweezers.
What the hell's going on here? A lot of tweezers.
There's favorites.
I
think there's favorites. There's favorites in all families, though.
Yeah, but not overt.
Oh, you're saying that it's a little bit more culturally acceptable for overtness in your experience.
Yeah, maybe.
In the few Jewish families' experiences that you have.
I've seen kind of like, he's amazing, and the other ones are like, cool.
This is Jerry.
Yeah.
This is Ben. Cool. That's Jerry.
Yeah, that's Reuben.
That's interesting.
Jimmy and Judah and Benjamin. He's the best.
Interesting.
Like, okay, I noticed the difference in how you.
Yeah, and I think they did too.
Like, no, I love you, but Benjamin is the best.
Yeah.
Oh, please, you understand.
I just feel like I see that with all families. Like everybody has the kid they like the most. They all love them, but everybody has the kid they like the most.
It's probably true. Yeah.
I guess like Jesus had a brother.
Yeah, he had a few brothers.
We had a few.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he only had one.
No, I had a few.
James,
Judas, not Judas Iscariot, different Judas.
Oh, okay.
A few. He had a few others.
And God obviously much preferred the ones he didn't kill.
Well, yeah, no. I don't know. Preferred is the right.
Sure.
Different plan. He had a different plan.
Different plan.
Everyone's got a plan. Okay. So, anyways, all this to divert. Judah is stepping in. Judah's stepping in and saying,
putting
okay,
himself on the line.
Yeah, because you found the cup in his bag. Kill me instead, right? You can't do it. And then Joseph, upon seeing that act of sacrificial love from Judah, loses it. Finally cries in front of them, doesn't relieve him, doesn't say, okay, I gotta go behind this tree or whatever, and like goes and cries in front of them and calls them and says he's Joseph, basically, just comes out and says it. And they're kind of like, no, I don't believe you. That's not true. And then he calls them close to him and shows them that he's Joseph, which
shows them his circumcised penis.
Yeah. He's like, look at this.
And they're like, oh, we've seen that thing before.
Whoa.
No
how crazy
way.
is that that's how rare circumcision is? Like, he's like, dude, no one down here has this.
Yeah.
I'm the only dude that's got this.
That's not actually what he does.
Yeah, he does.
He does?
Yes.
He shows them his penis.
Yeah, he says he drew them near to him.
That's what that meant?
Yes. He said, come here, look at this. I'm cut.
Dude, I was totally joking.
I thought you looked that up. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, yeah.
God, I'm good at this Bible shit.
See, it's funny. It's funny.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's what he did.
No way.
I will never forget. I was in high school. It was a chapel service. The headmaster of our school, Pastor Hamer, dead.
Is it important that he's dead for this story?
No.
Oh,
he's
okay.
black. Also not important. I'm just saying unimportant things. Green eyes.
He's green eyes?
He had green eyes as a black dude.
Black and green eyes?
His voice was incredible too. Anyways.
Oh, that's so good.
Powerful, great pastor, great preacher guy. I remember him, I never thought about this before, but he was going through this passage and he mentioned that to a bunch of high schoolers. He was like, he drew them near. He's like, look at this. Showing that he's cut to prove to them that he's Joseph.
Whoa, I totally did not know that.
What, he's going to be like, oh, you're standing over there. You don't believe I'm Joseph. Stand a little closer. See?
Yeah,
no,
it's like look at me. Really look at me.
Look at me. Really look at me.
Okay, but because in the other ways, like they're bowing down to him, their eyes are kind of averting. He's the power, but by bringing him over, they're really looking at him. I did not know he was showing fucking dong.
I mean, listen, could I be wrong? Absolutely. Could that be wrong?
But
yes.
that is a thing that people...
yes.
Oh, that's so funny.
To show circumcised dick, because that culturally wasn't happening anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So to say, I'm Joseph, I'm a Hebrew, I'm one of your people. Look, I'm circumcised.
Damn.
Like
Cock passport.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. I got the stamp, baby.
ID.
Yeah, I'm stamped.
Yeah.
Check me out. And so then they see his penis. Imagine looking at someone's penis and starting to cry.
No, I've had that experience before.
You're like, I'm so sorry.
And hey, maybe if there's Catholics listening, they've had that experience
they get
as well.
it. Yeah. Oh no. If you have any female listeners, they might understand.
They all
understand.
Big if.
When? Remember that time when?
Yeah. Dude, that is funny.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And also like tears of joy.
Yeah, they're stoked. They're
tears of joy.
Oh,
brother.
Oh, this is amazing.
That's so funny. Is like being like, that's my brother's cock.
Wow. Dad.
Boy, I missed you.
Dad, Joseph's
alive. You know what else that means? It hasn't grown since he was like, since he was sold.
I don't think it's because the image of his particular penis was carved in their mind. I just think it was
the same
fact
size
that it was circumcised.
From when he was a boy.
That'd be brutal.
That'd be very brutal.
Anyway.
But it's okay. He's got a bunch of power now. That's all that matters.
That's true. He does have a lot of power. Yeah, I bet that's what every other Egyptian says. He drives by in his chariot really loudly, and everyone's like, that guy's got a small penis.
But he's got a small cut-off penis.
Yeah, exactly. Small, tiny dick chariot.
That's what I have to say.
So anyways,
that's it. See ya.
That kind of is the end of it. Well, hold on. We went back to and okay. Then he basically says, "Go back to your dad. Bring him back here." Well, we'll pick up that next week because we're just over an hour right now, so we'll keep it now. But yeah, so he leaving it at Joseph shows his brothers that he's Joseph, that he has all this power, that he gave them, and huge reunion, huge forgiveness. Obviously, the brothers are now terrified too because they're like, "Oh, you have all of this power, and we just." Gave you like they're terrified, you know, but they see the forgiveness of Joseph, and I think Joseph sees the heart change in Judah as like signifying the rest of the brothers too. Like he sees change in all of them.
Sure.
And he's like, these are not the same. Like they are the same brothers, but they're not the same. They're different. They're repentant. They're actually transformed people since I saw them last.
Sure.
You know, and so he takes that into consideration. So. Yeah, we'll pick up from there, I guess, next week. Halfway through 44 or basically 45?
45.
Yeah. Yeah. 45.
Okay, how much of Genesis do we have left?
Not much, man. We got only a few more chapters left. A lot of it is Jacob coming. Oh, I won't get into spoilers, but yeah, 50. We probably could knock it out next week.
That'd be so sick.
What would that be? 12 episodes for Genesis?
Yeah.
12 eps for Genesis. It'll be less than that for Exodus.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Please like and subscribe if you want to. Please leave a comment if it's negative or positive. That's okay.
Either one.
We're always looking for... We got some very constructive feedback on the last episode we posted.
What was it, Grant?
It was all caps, horrible podcast. And I said, we'll work on that.
That's a good point.
We'll work in that area.
We hadn't thought about that before.
Yeah, we thought it was great.
We thought it was great podcast.
So
this is kind of a different sort of feedback that we're getting.
Yeah.
And we'll work that in how to make it not that.
So this is us trying to make it great.
Yeah, and add us to any sort of playlist you might consider this
please.
appropriate for.
Bye, guys. Give a wave, Josh.
No.
Smile and wave, boys.
Nope. I'll see you guys later. Most replayed part of the podcast.
Yeah. Socks. This is for the algorithm. Socks.
Socks.
Men in socks.
Men in socks. Couch socks. Men feet socks.
Robin Hood. Men in socks.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Call Him
Father. Bye.